Hello and welcome to the Autocar show. Now, MUVs and MPVs have become a large part of the Indian auto market, and that's because of the kind of lifestyle we have. Large families, the luggage we carry around. Well, there's been pretty much one king of the segment so far, and that's been the Toyota Innova. And that's because not only does it give you practicality, but it gives you a sense of luxury. It's a very comfortable vehicle. Mahindra & Mahindra came in with the Xylo and made a bid for the segment, but even with their value pricing, they were unable to dethrone the king of the segment. Well, now Maruti Suzuki are looking at a share of the pie with the brand new Ertiga. They are looking to create actually a new segment. They call it the LUV, or the Life Utility Vehicle. Well, can they shake up the segment? Let's get under the skin of the Ertiga and find out. Ertiga is based on the Swift platform, which means unlike its rivals that are body-on-frame, this is a monocoque construction, and that should give it an edge. This one is 415mm longer than the Swift, but it's smaller than the Innova. It looks very minivan, sharing the same cab-forward design as the Toyota, but the rest of the design cues are all very Maruti. The signs are all there: the peel-back headlamps and the slot-like grille from the Swift, and the A-pillar and bloated bonnet that look very much like the Ritz. Still, there is a very distinctive nose to the Ertiga, and the blacked-out pillars add character. The side profile makes the 15-inch tires look a little small, and what's noticeable is that the rear door is much larger than the front one. The tail is a little plain with the small wraparound headlamps as the only garnish. Still, when compared to its rivals, the Ertiga is a step up. The fuel tank is also under the center row, and the spare wheel is under the car at the rear to open up space inside. The middle row is slightly higher as a result of the fuel tank underneath, but it actually makes the thigh support better. Even with all the seats up, you get decent boot space. The beauty though is the versatility of space and seating. The middle row splits 60-40 and both rows flip down. There is only one problem in the entire space management, and that is to fold the third row flat, you have to move the middle row full forward, making the legroom a little tight, but then you have loads of room for luggage. To get into the rear seat, all it takes is the pull of one lever. But it's a bit tight to get in, and the bench itself could have been a little better with more thigh support. Maruti have done a great job of the interiors too. The light beige and grey looks good and makes the cabin really airy. They have added a lot of practicality as well, with 6 bottle holders and a roof-mounted blower to cool the cabin quicker. So far, this one looks like it will give the competition a run for their money. But then, how fast can it run? The Ertiga comes with both petrol and diesel engines. The petrol engine is a new member of the K-series family, and the diesel gets the familiar 1.3 DDIS from the SX4. This uses a variable geometry turbo to develop 88.8 bhp of power. The 20.39 kgm of torque is also delivered from a low 1750 rpm, at least on paper. Now, it's the diesel engine that I'm driving first, and this engine is a bit noisy when you rev it hard, and you do tend to hear that noise pretty often because the gearing is short, so you tend to get to the end of the revs pretty quickly. The strength of this engine is really the mid-range. That's where it's enjoyable to drive. It's very strong. But if you want to be a bit lazy when you're driving, you don't want to shift down the gears, it's not like there's no power to get you moving on. It's all there, it just takes a little while to get moving. The gears are short in general, but the fifth is quite tall, making the Ertiga diesel a comfortable cruiser out on the highway. It rarely feels breathless, and the clatter also dies down. The gearbox is also quite smooth, and with the light clutch, it's easy to use. The cabin in general is quite silent apart from the engine sounds that filter through. Well, now that I'm done with the diesel, it's time for me to switch over into the petrol engine and see how that one feels. This new K-Series engine boasts of 1.4-litre displacement with 93.87 bhp on tap. This all-new K14 engine in the Ertiga is quite nice. It's pretty responsive. Put your foot down and there's always some power served up. If at all there's a weak spot, it's in the mid-range. But it really doesn't hamper you much because you don't have to change the gears too often, making this very drivable. It cruises very comfortably at the top end as well. The only problem is you do hear this engine when you rev it hard. The K-Series engines have always pleased us, and it's no different in the Ertiga. The refinement is quite impressive and it feels smooth to drive as well. Fact of the matter is that be it in the city or out on the highway, the K-Series is always comfortable. You can get to 3-digit speeds easily and the petrol engine cruises happily, never running out of steam. With the monocoque construction, the Ertiga feels quite car-like to drive. In all other senses, it feels almost like a car. It wraps itself around you really nicely, doesn't feel big, doesn't feel bulky at all. That's just it. The Ertiga feels as easy to drive as a car, but comes with the practicality and space of an MUV. Maruti have done a great job of combining the two characters. This car-like character also makes the Ertiga's road stability pretty impressive. The steering is quite nice. It gives you good feedback. It gives you a sense of confidence around the corners. The steering weighs up nicely when cornering, but it's light and easy in the city as well. The Ertiga does have some body roll, but it's well contained and you can take the corner always feeling in control. Well, there will always be more people in the other 2 rows of the Ertiga than behind the wheel, so I'm going to check them out. Now, when you see the compact dimensions on the outside, you don't imagine that there would be so much space freed up on the inside, but the middle row is pretty comfortable. Someone like me has ample leg room, but even if you're a really tall person, there's always a sliding mechanism. You can open up a lot of leg room over here in the middle seat. You also have the recline, so long journeys can be really comfortable ones in the Ertiga. It's really impressive the kind of space that's opened up inside, and the comfort of the middle row is enhanced by the pretty exemplary ride quality. The third row is also pretty good as far as space is concerned. So the ride quality we think is one of the strengths of the Ertiga. While it's soft and pliant and absorbs all the bumps and potholes in the city, even out on the highway, it's a flat and composed ride which doesn't toss you around at all. The ride is really one of the big USPs of the Ertiga, and we suspect that economy will be the other. With these efficient engines and its lightweight, the Ertiga can expect to have good fuel efficiency figures. Maruti claim that the petrol has around 16 kilometers per litre and the diesel 20. Well, after driving the diesel and the petrol variants of the Ertiga, I have to say I'm pretty impressed. This one feels so car-like. It doesn't feel like an MPV at all. It's easy to maneuver, it's nice and light in the city, and it sort of wraps itself around you and feels very comfortable to drive. But on the other hand, it does have the space, it does have the 7 seats, it's comfortable, it's practical, it's got a capable set of engines, and of course it offers you that luxury feel from the interiors that one really likes in a car of this level. Well, you can expect some pretty sharp pricing from Maruti. They haven't announced their prices as we're doing this test drive, but we expect it to be between 7 and 9 lakhs. And at that price, I can say this will definitely shake up the segment. Not only will Innova and Xylo buyers look at this as an option, but I think even saloon car buyers will now look at it as a more practical option, of course with that 7-seat and the luggage space that you have. All I can say now is that I think Maruti have another winner on their hands.